Have you recently started playing chess online and now finally want to play your first over-the-board tournament? Well, then you've clicked on the right video, because today I'm going to tell you 10 things to think about to not look like a beginner in tournament chess. Now, I've been to tournaments since I was 2 years old, as both my parents are grandmasters and they always had to take me to their tournaments. I couldn't stay at home by myself. So I've seen it all and I know what you're supposed to do when it comes to chess tournaments. The first thing that is really important to know are the basics. You need to know that before the game, you always shake hands with your opponent. After that, the person with the black pieces starts the clock by pressing the button in the middle. Don't be the person that needs to ask how to do this. Know it before you come to the tournament. After that, you start the game, and every single time you move a piece, you use the same hand to press the clock. It's actually one of the rules in competitive chess. After you've made your move and pressed the clock, you write down your move in a score sheet. Here you can see one of my old score sheets. I don't want to look at the actual moves because I lost this game, but you can see that this is a yellow one. They're actually typically white, but you write down the name of yourself and of your opponent, and here you write down all the moves. The reason we do score sheets is because we want to be able to remember the games. I mean, I kind of like to think about chess as being a story and you writing down that story when you're playing the game. Now let's talk about behavior. Do not try to distract your opponent. You might have seen a lot of chess videos online where people are trash talking and trying to get their opponents as uncomfortable as possible. But this is the opposite of what you should be doing at a tournament game. During the game, you should stay quiet and not talk to your opponent, because those are the rules. You're not really allowed to say anything. So don't go, "Oh no," at some point, or say, "Why did you do that?" Don't say anything. Just stay quiet. Also, if you're gonna eat something during the game, which actually is pretty good because you might get tired after a couple hours, don't be the person to pick up the food and start, opening up the bar, making a lot of sound, and then eat right by the board. It's just not gonna look good, and it just looks kind of unprofessional. If you wanna eat something, stand up, go to the corner of the playing hall and eat your food there where you don't distract anybody. Your opponent will probably get pretty mad if you do it by the board. Another way you can distract your opponent is by smelling bad. I don't know the amount of times I've been sitting by a chessboard playing my over-the-board game and my opponent has smelled really bad. And let me tell you, these games take like 3-4 hours, so you really feel that smell for a long time. Now, the chess world is not so big, especially if you play local tournaments, so you don't want to be known as the guy that has bad hygiene. So for your own sake and for everyone else around you, please stay hygienic when you're playing chess tournaments. Speaking of hygiene, this takes me to the sponsor of this video, Geology. Geology is a company that specializes in skincare for everyone. They provide a 30-second quiz that you can take that will help you identify your own skin type and make sure that you get the best skincare products for you. Now, one of my favorite products is their vitamin C+E serum, which makes the skin feel super soft and hydrated. I've particularly liked using it under my eyes, and in my case, it's actually helped reduce dark under-eye circles. They don't only offer skincare products, but they also offer shampoos, body washes. They have pretty much anything that you might need to stay hygienic. Right now, they have an amazing offer going on. With code ANNA70, you can get 70% off your brand new personalized skincare trial, plus 50% off any add-ons. So make sure you check out the link in the description, and let's get back to the video. All right, let's get to point number 3. This is also about behavior. Do not talk to your friends or signal during the chess game. A lot of times I see people standing up being like, "Hey, look at my position. This is so good, I'm winning." This is actually not allowed. You're not allowed to discuss the moves or your position with anybody apart from an arbiter if you have any weird encounter during the game. The reason for this is because one of your friends might be stronger than you and might be able to help you. So please never speak to anybody, as if you do, both your opponent and the arbiters of the tournament are going to be very suspicious of you and they might think that you're cheating. So it's better to just stay quiet during the whole game and tell your friends how it went after the game. Now, speaking about not looking suspicious, let's get to point number 4. Do not stand up when it's your turn. You are allowed to stand up during over-the-board chess games. After you make a move, you can stand up and you can either go to a bathroom if you need to, or you can look at other games. But when it's your turn, when your opponent has made a move and it's your turn, do not stand up then, because it's going to make you look as if you don't know what to reply to your opponent's move, and it's going to make you look very suspicious. It's also just very bad manners to kind of ignore what your opponent did and not care and just leave the board. It has happened to me that I've really needed to go to a bathroom. It's been my turn and I've just made a move that I know is not the best because I really needed to get out of that board. So yeah, it happens to all of us. Now let's talk about draws. When you're playing online, you can press the draw button as many times as you want. You might annoy your opponent, but you're not really gonna play them again most probably, and I see a lot of people asking for a draw countless of times. Over the board chess is different. This leads me to point number 5. Do not offer draws too many times. When I was 15 years old, I was playing against this guy who was younger than me. He was maybe 12, and he asked me for a draw 11 times during the game. I actually ended up winning that game, which made me extremely happy. And even though it was a very drawn position, you don't ask for a draw so many times. In fact, I would recommend you to ask for a draw a maximum of 2 times per game. But even after the first draw, if your opponent says no, asking for a draw a few moves later is going to make you look pretty bad. Another really important thing when it comes to draws is do not offer a draw when you know you are in a lost position. If your opponent is not low on time or anything, you asking for a draw just makes you look really bad and it just makes you look like a beginner. Another kind of unofficial rule when it comes to draws is typically it's the higher rated opponent that asks for a draw. If you want to draw somebody that is much better than you at chess, then you should prove it on the board. You shouldn't ask for it. And like I said, this is not an official rule, but everybody thinks this way. So it's sort of like an unofficial thing that is really good to know. Now let's talk about some differences with online chess and over-the-board chess. This leads me to point number 6. Have a poker face when you're playing. If you make a mistake, such as blundering a piece or seeing that your opponent has a tactic, do not all of a sudden make a face that will show that to your opponent. If you're new to chess, you will probably not play against grandmasters the first thing you do, so your opponent might actually not see the tactic. But you doing a face such as or whatever is going to give it away immediately. The reason people such as Hikaru can do faces is because if Hikaru sees something, his opponent is going to see something too. Because I mean, they're just super grandmasters, but people at your level will not see everything. So have a poker face, look confident, and I promise you, it's gonna get you more wins than you think. Now, another really important thing to think about is time. If you've played a lot of online chess, you might be used to a very different time control than what you typically play in over-the-board tournaments. And this leads me to point number 7. Do not play too fast, because in over-the-board chess, it is touch move that counts. What does that mean? Well, if you touch a piece, if you touch this pawn, no matter what, you must move this pawn. If you, for instance, have a position where you capture your opponent's piece, you touch it, then you are forced to capture it somehow. So be very careful before you touch one of your or your opponent's pieces, because you have no way of regretting that decision. In street chess, when you're just playing outside for fun, typically it's clocked move that matters. So when you press the clock, that's when you made your move. But here, it's touch move. There's also this phenomenon in over-the-board chess, which is that a lot of times you will think for maybe 20-30 minutes, you'll look at a position, you'll think for so long, and then all of a sudden, the move that you wanted to do for 20 minutes, the moment you actually make the move, you regret it immediately. And this is something that doesn't only happen to me. I've heard about a lot of people this happening to. This is very common. So somehow you always regret your moves in over-the-board chess. So really make sure that you know what you're doing before you make a move. Another big difference between online chess and over-the-board chess is that you don't have someone telling you when you've made an illegal move. If you're playing on chess.com and you try to make an illegal move, they're just not going to let you. I mean, the board is just not going to let you do that move. Whereas in over-the-board chess, you can literally make an illegal move. For instance, imagine that you would go ahead and castle. 1, 2, 3, you would castle the wrong way. You would try to make long castle, and then you would take 3 steps instead of 2 whilst you're making it. Well, that is an illegal move. And if you make this move, well, every tournament has different rules on illegal moves, but a lot of times you will actually lose the game after making 2 illegal moves. The first illegal move you make, you will lose time on your clock. The second one, you will immediately lose the game. So really make sure you're not doing illegal moves when you're playing. Now, before we get to point number 8, I'm just going to give you a little bonus one because I feel like this is not talked about enough. Do not say check every time you check your opponent. I see a lot of people that haven't played over-the-board chess tell me, Anna, you are trying to be sneaky. You were checking my king and didn't tell me. Well, because you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to say check. If you go to a tournament and you say check, when you're checking your opponent's king, that's going to make you look like a big beginner. Do not do it. Never. Like I said before, you don't speak during the games. Do not say check, ever. It is your opponent's responsibility to see that they are in check. Okay, let's get to point number 8 now. No matter how the game went, you always shake hands with your opponent after the game. It's very easy to be very tilted after a game where you've spent 3-4 hours on and you've lost. Well, no matter how tilted you are, always have good manners and always be nice and respectful to your opponent and shake hands with them at the end. I've seen some people that will just throw all the chess pieces after the game because they're mad, but that just makes you look really bad. And like I said before, the chess community is not so big. If you go to local tournaments, people will remember you as the person that just threw all their pieces after the game and just didn't have good manners. I've never done this. And now for the final point, point number 10, don't forget to check the tournament rules before the tournament. Each over-the-board tournament has some different rules. In some tournaments, you gain extra time after you've made 40 moves. In some tournaments, you don't. You have the same time control throughout the whole game. In some tournaments, you get increments for each move that you make. In other tournaments, you don't. So always be careful and always make sure you know the time control before you start your games, because sometimes you might lose some games on not knowing that, which is a very sad way of losing a chess game. I hope that these 10 points inspire you to play some more over-the-board chess tournaments. I absolutely love playing tournaments. Even if I play online chess every day, there's something special with going somewhere, meeting an opponent, and spending 3-4 hours playing chess over the board with them. I absolutely love it, and if you want to, I always recommend to try it out sometime. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know if you have any extra points you would add to this list. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.